The next Stranger Things season will be the last. That's sad enough on its own, but we'll make it sadder. We'll have to wait until 2024 for season 5. So what can the poor fans do to survive the long wait on the crumbs of season 4? In today's episode of We're Not Over Stranger Things, we'll discuss the little things that seemed wrong in season 4, starting from, drumroll, young Eleven. First up, quite the chatterbox, wasn't she? Okay, we're aware that this is an exaggeration. So the young Eleven whom we got to meet in the flashbacks might not have been a chatterbox, but she sure spoke a lot for a girl who didn't know the meaning of the word friend back in season 1. Listen, we don't doubt the skill or nerdiness of the Duffer Brothers. Their attention to detail speaks for itself. Still, while watching season 4, you can't really deny how shocking it was to hear young Eleven speak with a pretty decent vocabulary. Like, before that, the best she could do with the tools of the English language was friends don't lie. Not only that, but in the flashbacks, she was also exceptionally good at communicating with Henry Creel in code language and making elaborate escape plans with him for someone whose social cues weren't exactly sharp from what we were told. Needless to say, it did some stuff to our brains. Who was that girl, and what did they do to our child? So yeah, fans weren't okay with this at first, because it was clearly out of character for the Eleven that we'd known for 3 seasons of the show. Following up, exactly why was it a problem? Yeah, and so what? A child was saying words. Big deal. Yes, big deal. Kind of. Hear us out on this before you throw those tomatoes at us. This might be nitpicky and just a tad bit dramatic, but it felt like the audience was lied to. A sort of betrayal, if you will. When we were first introduced to Eleven in season 1, those were the days, we were led to believe that the way this child was treated at the Hawkins lab was so terrible, and she was so isolated that she couldn't even learn to speak properly. Fast forward to season 4, and the Duffer Brothers went, well, yes, but actually no. To cut the short story shorter, the backstory of a character that was built over 3 seasons was suddenly dismissed for what seemed like plot convenience in an attempt to expand the show. And before you attack us for saying all that, y'all said it first. Now for the explanation. We hope you didn't misunderstand us. We love Stranger Things, and we've pledged our allegiance to the Duffer Brothers until the very end of our days. So no, we don't really think that young Eleven being able to form coherent sentences was a plot hole. There's a pretty good explanation for it. The trauma from the big fight with Vecna. We'll be kind and rewind. Remember that final fight in Hawkins' lab, where Henry Creel for some reason thought that snapping the daylight out of all the kids' bones would be just the right bonding experience for his budding friendship with Elle? Yeah, well, it wasn't. While the fight ended with Henry being yeeted all the way out to a whole other dimension, it had a toll on our superhero as well. The trauma from that day, both emotional and physical, due to the intense fight, was that everything she'd experienced that far got wiped out of her memory. And yep, the same happened with her language skills. She forgot everything and wasn't given a chance to heal. Instead, the experiments became more traumatic and isolating, thanks to the menace that is Dr. Brenner. It makes sense now, doesn't it? Sure, it still looks like a bit of plot convenience measure, but we'll allow it. After all, how socially sound would you be if you'd torn apart the fabric of time and space using just your brain? Yeah, thought so. Speaking of out-of-character people, Robin. We've cleared the case for our girl, Elle. Now let's move on to the next character that a lot of fans had a problem with this season, Robin Buckley. Apparently, her character changed drastically this season, and she was a completely new person from the Robin we knew from season 3. In season 3, she was a sarcastic, introverted, and exceptionally intelligent girl. In season 4, on the other hand, she's a rambling mess, and her personality revolves around being silly and dorky. Are these allegations true? Well, a little bit, yes. Especially when you consider what the actress said in an interview, that her lines were written this season to sound more like Maya herself. But then again, we think if we take a closer look at her character from the 3rd season, we can beat these allegations. Once again, hear us out on this. Here's why Robin's character didn't really change. So back in the good old days at Scoops Ahoy, Buckley still wasn't really a friend of Steve or the kids. That explains why she was quieter, but that's not it. Remember when Dustin tells Harrington he should date Robin? Yeah, Then you remember what he said in return, right? No, of course you don't. Well, he tells Dustin that she talks a lot and is hyper, so clearly this was a known personality trait of hers. Now go back to when that gross human and rat flesh spider from hell injured Eleven. While Elle was in pain, Robin was constantly rambling in the background. Again, this proves she was always like this. She just wasn't officially part of the gang, so she wasn't yet comfortable being herself around them. In season 4, of course, that changed. She knows everybody. Steve's her best friend, so it makes sense that she's more openly her nervous wreck of a self around them. The one problem, though, was that she could have used some more this season for sure. This girl cracked a Russian code just for fun and proceeded to spit in a Russian baddie's face, but this season did reduce her to just being a comedic relief, which was a bit sad. We don't believe she changed as a person, but yeah, they should have given her more important stuff to do. Still, the lesbian queen of Hawkins can do whatever she wants. She'll be loved. May Vecna and his squelching tentacles find you if you don't love her. Up next, Stancy. We're watching you. No, we don't defend this one. What the hell was the Stancy comeback? It was out of character for both Nancy and Steve. Are love triangles really that important? Because we think we could have done without this one. Stancy shippers, here's a disclaimer for you. Your feelings will get hurt. So in the bathroom scene in season 3, Harrington clearly says that his relationship with Nance wasn't it. The adoptive mother of 6 said that he was in love with her, but that was no longer the case. Nancy, on the other hand, was also doing pretty well with Jonathan. They were a perfect couple, and now they're having Steve tell his ex that she's always been there, and he tells her how he wants half a dozen little nugget Harringtons with her. What was that? We'll do you one better. Why was that? It's especially bad when you consider he knows she has a boyfriend. The same boyfriend he himself told her to go out with. So yeah, it was a blatant destruction of Steve's character development. We welcome all the Stancy slander in these territories. Please go ahead and add yours. Now let's talk about the famous nosebleeds. First off, why does Elle's nose bleed? As Millie said in her rap, bad news when you see that bloody nose. Her character Eleven's nose bleeds each time she uses her mind powers. What's interesting is that we still haven't been given a single definitive answer as to why that happens. The best guess, though, is that boosting her brain power and focus to ridiculous levels requires a faster blood flow. So every time she does it, a few veins pop, giving her those nosebleeds. And yeah, we'd say that's fair enough. Coming up, the emotion theory. In season 2, Callie teaches Elle how to upgrade her powers. She tells her how to channel her anger, which is the same advice Creel gives her in season 4. The point is that both in season 2 and in season 4's flashbacks, when Elle really channels her anger, we see her bleed more intensely. Chances are, it's the emotional stress that she puts her brain under that's causing all the nasty nosebleeds. Lastly, did Creel's nose bleed too? If both Elle and Henry have similar powers, then his nose should bleed too, right? And it does. Not every time though. For example, when he was snapping the guards' necks, his nose wasn't bleeding, but when he was vecnifying the last kid in the lab, it was. What's important here is that this kid was putting up a fight. We also see him wiping his nose after he successfully snippety snaps his own mother into oblivion. So one thing is clear, the nosebleeds happen only if the powers are being put to an intense test, for both Elle and Henry. The answer to why is still up for guesses though. That's a wrap for this video. Apart from Jason's existence, what was something that you didn't like about the 4th season of Stranger Things? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.